Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Garima Jain from Rajasthan Technical University, Kota. Today we are going to talk on module Human Resource Planning from paper Human Resource Management. After completing this module, the students will be able to understand the meaning and definition of human resource planning, having the knowledge of the process of human resource planning. Then, what are the factors affecting human resource planning and what is the importance of human resource planning? Introduction. Human resource planning is the business process for ensuring that an organization has suitable access to talent to ensure future business success. Human resource planning is the process by which a management determines how an organization should move from its current manpower position to its desired manpower position. Through planning, a management strives to have the right number and the right kind of people at the right places and at the right time, and to do things which will result in receiving the long range benefit for both the organization and the individual. All other activities of HR like hiring, training, remuneration and labor relations, they are derived from human resource planning. So we call it as manpower planning, as you all must be knowing. Definition. What is the definition of human resource planning? In the words of E.W. Vetter, a process by which an organization should move from its current manpower position to the desired manpower position. That is, through planning, the management strives to have the right number, right kind of people at right place and at right time, doing things which results in both organization and individual receiving maximum long run benefits. Now there is another definition of human resource planning. According to Robbins and Coulter, HR planning is the process by which manager ensures that they have the right number and right kind of capable people in the right places and at right times. Now the human resource planning process, determination of quantity of personnel. First of all, there are the organization objectives that have to be taken care of. After that comes the HR needs forecast and HR supply forecast. After this comes the HR programming and then human resource planning implementation. After that, the step is of control and evaluation. And after completing the control and evaluation, we will see that if there are surplus of employees, then one should take care of restricted hiring. Then layoffs can be there, voluntary retirement schemes can be taken care of, and the hours of working can be reduced. Whereas if there is shortage of employees, then in that case, what one can do is recruitment and selection. Human resource planning process. The first step in this is the environment scanning. This helps HR planners identify and anticipate sources, problems, threats, and opportunities that should drive the organization's strategic planning, both external, the competitors, the labor markets, the legal environment, and internal, in which is the strategy, technology, culture. Environmental scanning is necessary for effective HR planning. So we can take an example in this, like Amazon. It closed a large and costly customer service center in Seattle despite good growth projections, as their study and research said that they could meet their growth projections with a far less costly customer center in India. Labor demand forecast. In the labor demand forecast, we will study about that it projects how business needs will affect HR needs using qualitative methods like the Delphi and nominal, and the quantitative methods like trend analysis, simple and multiple regression analysis. The labor shortages are preventing entrepreneurs from expanding their businesses, and such shortages make the planning more difficult. Qualitative methods. In this slide, we will study that what is the Delphi technique. In these methods, the Delphi technique is very popular. The experts go through various rounds of forecast, estimates, but no face-to-face meeting of the experts takes place as an intermediary is involved. Experts take turns at presenting a forecast statement and assumptions. The intermediary passes on the forecast and assumptions to others. Revisions are then made independently and anonymously by the experts. The intermediary then pools and summarizes the judgments and gives them to the experts. This process continues till a final conclusion on the forecast is reached. In this, we will discuss the nominal group technique. Another technique of the same type is the nominal group technique, in which experts discuss and share their ideas and list them in writing. The experts then share their ideas with the group in turn. As the ideas are presented, a master list of the ideas is compiled so that everyone can refer back to them. The ideas are discussed and ranked by member votes. In this method, no intermediary is involved, so a face-to-face discussion is held amongst the experts. Both these techniques are of subjective type and time-consuming. Quantitative methods. Now we shall be taking care of as to what are the quantitative methods. These techniques are based on the assumptions that the future is an extrapolation from the past. Trend analysis is one of the techniques which incorporates certain business factors like units produced and revenues, and a productivity ratio, that is the employees per unit produced. Trend analysis. Now, trend analysis is one of the quantitative methods of doing human resource planning. So, through this, we can find the appropriate business factor that relates to the size of the workforce, plot the historical record of that factor in relation to the size of the workforce, then compute the productivity ratio, that is average output per worker per year, and then we determine the trend, and after that we make the necessary adjustments in the trend past and future, and then we project it to the target year. And the use of appropriate business factor is critical to the success of trend analysis. Labor supply forecast. Whereas the labor demand forecast projects human resource needs, the labor supply forecast projects resource availability. Through this forecast, one can come to know the firm's current and projected competencies. Supply forecasts are typically broken down into two categories: external supply and internal supply. Internal supply. Internal labor supply, it consists of those individuals and jobs currently available within the firm. Information on personnel is maintained in human resource information system. As you all know that we call it HRIS. Data from this system are used to make projections into the future based on the current trends. External supply. External supply, it consists of those individuals in the labor force who are potential recruits of the firm. The whole country or even the world may be the relevant labor market for highly skilled jobs, whereas for unskilled jobs, the labor market is the local community. Gap analysis is used to merge the forecasts of labor demand and supply. This process identifies the potential shortages or surplus of skills, employees, and competencies. In addition to this, the HR planners can analyze the environmental forecast with supply and demand forecasts for evaluating the firm's preparation in pursuing the different business scenarios in the context of business objectives. It is the final step of HR planning, action programming. It takes the adopted solution and lays down the sequence of events that need to be executed to realize the plan. The purpose of this step is to make certain that the decisions taken in the previous four steps are brought into action. Control and evaluation. Control and evaluation, it monitors the effectiveness of human resource plan over time. Deviation from the plans are identified and actions are taken. The extent to which human resource objectives have been attained is measured by the feedback from various outcomes. In this slide, we shall discuss as to what are the factors that are affecting the human resource planning. First is the organization growth cycle and planning, outsourcing. Next is environmental uncertainties, then the nature of jobs being filled, type and quality of forecasting information, time horizon, type and strategy of organization. Now we shall be discussing in detail the factors that are affecting human resource planning. First is the type and strategy of organization. It determines the production process involved and the number and type of staff needed. In addition, the strategic plan of the organization defines its HR needs. Manufacturing organizations are more complex than the service organizations. For example, a strategy of organic growth means that additional employees must be hired. Acquisitions and mergers mean that the organization will plan for the layoff, since mergers create duplicate positions that can be handled more efficiently with fewer employees. Now, the organization growth cycle and planning. It is the next factor in controlling the HRP. In this, we will be seeing that what is the need for planning is felt when an organization enters the growth stage. Mature organization experiences less flexibility and variability. At this stage, retirement and retrenchment are focused upon and growth slows down. Finally, in the declining stage, planning is also done for layoffs and retrenchment. Outsourcing. What is outsourcing? Several organizations outsource part of their work to outside parties in case sufficient labor is not available. Outsourcing of non-critical activities through subcontracting determines human resource planning. The next factor, that is the environmental uncertainty. Now the HR managers work in a very unstable and unpredictable environment. Flexi timing, job sharing, layoffs, retirement are some of the programs that are carried out by the organizations for facing the uncertainties. In flexi timing, we can see that the organizations provide the employees the flexi timing that they can sit at home and do their job. They can come at office at any time or they can work from their home. This comes under flexi timing. In job sharing, two employees or three employees can share their job and work together. Like for 4 hours, they can share their jobs. So such kind of things can come under the unstable and unpredictable environment. And these things really help us in planning the human resources. Nature of jobs being filled. Human resource planners must consider the nature of jobs being filled. It is easy to recruit shop floor workers, but for hiring at higher positions, a great deal of efforts and sourcing is required. The type and quality of forecasting information. The information used to forecast personal needs originates from many sources. A population census is the primary source of information for any manpower planning. It gives the total count of the country's population, along with valuable stats on the personal and economic characteristics of the present, thus enabling future projections. Other sources are job analysis, labor force sample surveys, establishment surveys, household surveys, industrial and agriculture surveys, labor market surveys, national economic development, and educational plans. In this, we'll be telling you about what are time horizons. Companies operating in unstable environment, for example, in computers and software industry, they plan must be there for a shorter period. As we can see today in software industry and IT industry, you cannot make a plan for a longer period or you cannot recruit persons for a very longer period. That is, the planning can only be done for a shorter period because they are operating in very unstable environment. Every second day, some new software is coming up and one has to get it updated. Something new will be coming. So very difficult to plan in such cases. Whereas for organizations where environment is stable, like you can see in universities, colleges, schools, where the planning is done for a longer duration. You can see in schools and colleges that the syllabus, the curriculum, the activities, they can be decided for a longer period. For the whole year, planning can be done, timetables can be made because they all work in a stable environment. There the things do not change so fast. We can make syllabuses, timetable, curriculum for a longer duration. Future manpower needs. Human resource planning, it ensures that people are available to provide the continued smooth operation of an organization. It means human resource planning, it is regarded as a tool to assure the future availability of manpower to carry on the organizational activities. It determines the future needs of manpower in terms of number and kind. Coping with change. Human resource planning is important to cope with the change associated with the external environmental factors. It helps assess the current human resources through HR inventory and adapts it to the changing technological, political, socio-culture and economic forces. The recruitment of talented personnel. Another purpose of human resource planning is to hire and select the most capable person to fill job vacancies. It determines human resource needs. It assesses the available HR inventory level and finally recruits the personnel that are needed to perform the job. Development of human resources. Human resource planning, it also identifies the skill requirements for various levels of jobs. Then it organizes various training and development campaigns to impart the required skill and ability in employees to perform the task efficiently and effectively. So in this way, there is a kind of development of human resources. Various kind of training methods are there, you can see, which help us in develop the managers, the HR, proper utilization of human resources. This is also one of the usefulness of human resource planning. Human resource planning measures that the organization acquires and utilizes the manpower effectively to achieve objectives. Human resource planning helps in assessing and recruiting skilled human resource. It focuses on the optimum utilization of human resource to minimize the overall cost of production. Uncertainty reduction. By doing a proper human resource planning, one can reduce the uncertainties. This is associated with reducing the impact of uncertainties which are brought by unforeseen changes in processes and procedures of human resource management in the organization. So if some kind of uncertainty is there, but if a proper human resource planning is there, so that uncertainty, that risk can be reduced to certain for certain time period for certain actions. The necessity of human resource planning. Human resource planning or manpower planning is necessary for all organizations because of following reasons. Firstly, to meet up requirements of the organization, to do work in the organization. Every organization needs personnel of desired skill, knowledge, and experience. This human resource requirement of organization can be effectively fulfilled through proper human resource planning. It helps in defining the number of personnel as well as kind of personnel required to satisfy its needs. It ensures the reservoir of desired human resources as and when required. Nextly is the counterbalance insecurity and change. There must be proper utilization of human and non-human resources in the organization. Sometimes the organizations may have adequate non-human resources, example machines, materials and money, but inadequate human resources. As a result, manufacturing process or production cannot be started. Human resource planning helps to offset uncertainties and changes as far as possible and enables to ensure availability of human resources of the right kind at right time and at right place. Continuing with the necessity for the human resource planning, we will tell you about that it helps in checking labor imbalance. Human resource planning helps to anticipate shortages and or surpluses of manpower in the organization. The shortage of manpower as well as surplus of manpower is not good for the organization. It proves very expensive for the organization. In case of shortage of human resources, physical resources of the organization cannot be properly utilized, and in case of surplus of human resources, this resource may remain underutilized. It helps in counterbalancing the problem of shortage and surplus employees very comfortably. Human resource planning helps in correcting this imbalance before it becomes unmanageable and expensive. Next point to be discussed is the right sizing the human resource requirements of the organization. In an existing organization, there is a constant need for right sizing the organization. In the organization, some posts may fall vacant as a result of retirement, accidents, resignations, promotions, or death of employees. Consequently, there is a constant need of replacing people. Human resource planning estimates future requirements of the organization and helps to ensure that human resources of right kind, right number, in right time and right place. We will further tell you about certain points which are necessary for HR planning. That is to meet expansion and diversification needs of the organization. It helps to execute future plans of the organization regarding expansion, diversification, and modernization. Through human resource planning, it is ensured that employees in right number and of right kind are available when required to meet these needs of the organization. It ensures that people of desired skill and knowledge are available to handle the challenging job requirements. Next point is the training and development of employees. There is constant need of training and development of employees as a result of changing requirements of the organization. It provides scope for advancement and development of employees through training and development, etc. Thus, it helps in meeting the future needs of the organization of highly skilled employees. We will further continue that what is the necessity of human resource planning. The next point to be discussed is to fulfill individual needs of the employees. It helps to satisfy the individual needs of the employees for promotion, transfer, salary, encashment, and better benefits, etc. It helps in formulation of budget. It helps in anticipating the cost of human resources, example salary and other benefits, etc. It facilitates the formulation of human resource budget for various departments, divisions of the organization. So, it may also help in the formulation of suitable budgets in an organization. Then it is also helpful to check joblessness. In the exercising of right size of employees by the organization, some of the employees may become surplus. It means their services are no more required in the organization. It tries to foresee the need for redundancy. It plans to check job loss or to provide for alternative employment in consultation with various concerned parties and authorities. Now we shall be discussing as to what are the requisites for successful human resource planning. Like the first, HR planning must be recognized as an integral part of corporate planning. Corporate planning is at a bigger level and HR planning is done at a smaller level. The planner must be aware of the corporate objectives as to what are the bigger or the what are the objectives of the organization. Only then he can do the human resource planning. The support of top management is very essential. Only then we can have a success in human resource planning. HR planning responsibilities should be centralized so that coordination is there between different management levels, like the top management, middle management, and the lower management. The requisites for successful human resource planning are that all the records of the human resource department must be complete, updated, and readily available. Like if some person has done certain kind of courses or he has completed his PhD, his degrees, those things should be updated regularly because only then a proper HR planning can be there. Because if a vacancy is created or if the person has to be promoted, so his data are completed and he can be made available as and when required. The time horizon of the plan must be long enough to allow for any solution. That is, flexibilities must be there. Then the data collection, analysis, techniques of planning, and the plans themselves need to be constantly revised and improved in the light of the experience. Daily, the techniques are changes, new methods of data collection are there. They should be improved and updated regularly so that a proper human resources are taken up by the organization and which will be very helpful for successful human resource planning. Strategic HR planning. Now, in strategic HR planning, we'll be telling you that by participating in the organization planning process, one can do strategic HR planning. Further, identifying the HR strategies in line with the organizational strategy, design and develop the human resource information system, compile and analyze the available data on staffing needs of various departments. We can identify supply and demand needs for each department in the organization. Review HR planning with the different department. Integrate HR plan with the organizational plan. Monitor the HR plan to keep pace with the changes in the business environment. Develop and review the employee succession plan. So students, let us now summarize what we have learned in this module. Human resource planning, it is the process of forecasting a firm's future demand for and supply of the right number of people in the right number. And human resource planning is also called as manpower planning, as we had previously seen in the module. The process of HR planning, it comprises of the following steps. That is environmental scanning, then labor demand forecast, labor supply forecast, gap analysis, action programming, and control and evaluation. The factors which affect HR planning are type and strategy of organization, organization growth cycles, and planning, environmental uncertainties, time horizons, type and quality of information and the nature of jobs being filled, and of course outsourcing, as we had seen while we were discussing about the module. So all these are the factors which really affected the HR planning. So we have now seen that HR planning is a very important process in an organization, as it aims at fulfilling the objectives of the manpower requirement. Thank you.